Listen carefully. Your life will rise or fall to the level of your mind. The moment you learn to master your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions, you become unstoppable. Most people are ruled by impulses, fears, and habits they don't even notice. But you're here to take control. This audiobook is your blueprint. From this moment on, your mind is no longer the enemy. It is the weapon. Control your mind, and you control your world. Your mind is loud. Your mind is chaotic. Your mind is pulling you in 10 different directions every single day. And the truth is simple. You've been letting it run wild for far too long. Most people never train their mind. Most people never question their thoughts. Most people never challenge the stories running in their head. They just react. They just chase. They just drown in their own noise. But you're here for a reason. You're here because something inside you knows that your mind has been steering you instead of serving you. And that ends today. Because here's the truth you must hear right now. A wandering mind creates a wandering life. Say it again. A wandering mind creates a wandering life. Your thoughts drift, so your decisions drift. Your emotions drift, so your discipline drifts. Your identity drifts, so your future drifts. And then you wonder why you feel lost. You wonder why you feel overwhelmed. You wonder why you can't stay consistent. It's because your mind is untrained. Not broken, not damaged, just untrained. But you have a choice. That's the key. You have a choice to take control, to take ownership, to become the commander of your inner world instead of a helpless passenger. Let's begin. The untrained mind creates its own storms. Look at your life closely. How many times have you suffered from things that never actually happened? You replayed old conversations. You imagined worst-case scenarios. You created entire conflicts in your head that didn't exist in reality. And then you responded emotionally. You got angry. You became anxious. You shut down. Not because of the world, but because of your thoughts. Your thoughts became your prison. Your thoughts became your punishment. Your thoughts became your pattern. This is how the untrained mind destroys you from the inside out. It grabs one tiny worry and expands it into a full-blown disaster. It takes one uncertainty and turns it into a personal threat. It takes one comment from someone and twists it into a judgment on your entire worth. And because you never slow down to question your thoughts become your truth. But not anymore. You're going to break that cycle today. Name the thoughts that control you. Here's the secret that mentally strong people understand. What you don't name controls you. What you don't acknowledge steals your power. What you don't examine becomes your master. So when a thought appears, I'm not good enough. They're judging me. I'm going to fail. I can't do this. Don't react. Don't obey. Don't surrender. Just name it. Say to yourself, that's a fear. That's insecurity. That's doubt. That's an impulse. That's ego. When you name it, you separate yourself from it. You create distance. You break the illusion that your thoughts are commands. You have a choice. That's the key. Thoughts are not orders, they're suggestions. And you decide which ones get power. Naming your thoughts is the first step to taming them. And taming them is the first step to mastering your mind. Label your emotions before those emotions take over your control. Your emotions follow your thoughts, fast, powerful, and often irrational. One negative thought can trigger a wave of anger. One fear-based thought can trigger anxiety for hours. One imagined scenario can ruin your entire day. But here's what powerful people do. They label emotions before those emotions take over. Say it plainly. This is irritation. This is fear. This is disappointment. This is insecurity trying to speak for me. When you label it, you weaken it. When you call it out, you strip away its authority. Because here's the truth. You don't need their permission. Not your emotions, not your impulses, not your fears. Your emotions are signals, not shackles. Information, not identity. Emotion says, pay attention, but discipline says, I choose the action. It's not about feeling strong. It's about acting strong. It's not about avoiding fear. It's about mastering fear. It's not about stopping emotions. It's about stopping emotional control over you. That's the key. Observe your impulses instead of obeying them. Every day you face impulses. The impulse to overthink. The impulse to react fast. The impulse to defend your ego. The impulse to quit when it feels uncomfortable. Most people obey without question. They act first and regret later. Not you. Not anymore. Here's your new rule. Observe the impulse. Don't obey it. Take 3 seconds. Pause. Breathe. Watch the impulse instead of acting on it. You'll realize that the impulse loses power when you don't immediately react to it. Your mind calms, your emotions settle, your clarity returns. Because you have a choice. You always had a choice. You just forgot to use it. This is the practice that changes everything. Here is your first daily drill, the drill that will train your mind to stop wandering and start obeying. Step 1. When a thought appears, name it. This is fear. This is doubt. This is overthinking. Step 2. When an emotion rises, label it. This is frustration. This is anxiety. This is ego trying to speak for me. Step 3. When an impulse hits, pause and observe it. 3 seconds, 1 breath, 1 moment of awareness. This is how you regain control. This is how you sharpen your inner power. This is how you stop being ruled by reaction. Because remember, a wandering mind creates a wandering life. You're done wandering. You're done drifting. You're done surrendering your power to thoughts that don't deserve to lead you. Today marks the first moment you take the reins back. Your mind is a wild horse. Strong, fast, unpredictable. But with training, it becomes unstoppable. And that training starts with this one truth. You control your thoughts, or your thoughts control you. There is no middle ground. You have a choice. This is the foundation of mental mastery. And once you master your thoughts, you change the trajectory of your entire life. Because control begins inside. Power begins inside. Transformation begins inside. And now, you're ready for the next level. Your emotions are loud. Your emotions are convincing. Your emotions feel urgent, powerful, undeniable. But hear this clearly. Your emotions are not commands. You can feel something and still not act on it. You can feel something and still choose discipline. You can feel something and still move in the direction of strength, not weakness. This chapter is about
That separation. The separation between feeling and obeying, between emotion and action, between impulse and intention. Because that's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise. One group obeys emotion. The other group obeys clarity. And you must decide which one you are. You have a choice. That's the key. The truth you've ignored for years. Most people live as slaves to their emotional state. They don't even realize it. Anger tells them, react now. And they react. Fear tells them, don't try. And they don't try. Insecurity tells them, hide. And they hide. Discomfort tells them, quit. And they quit. They obey every emotion as if it were a law, as if it were truth, as if emotion equals action. But it doesn't. Not for a powerful mind. Not for someone who wants control. Not for someone who's done living on autopilot. Listen carefully. Emotion is information, not instruction. Emotion is the weather report, not the steering wheel, not the road, not the destination. Your job is not to avoid emotion. Your job is to understand it, to evaluate it, to decide what to do with it. You have a choice. Anger in relationships, the fastest way to destroy trust. Think about a time you were angry, really angry. Your chest tightened, your mind sped up, you felt the urge to fire back, defend yourself, raise your voice. That feeling was real. The emotion was real. But the action you took was a choice. Most people don't understand that. They blame the emotion. They say things like, I was mad, so I said it. I was irritated, so I snapped. I felt disrespected, so I attacked back. No, that's not how it works. Your anger didn't grab your mouth and make it move. Your anger didn't type the message. Your anger didn't choose the words. You did. You acted because you obeyed the emotion. You treated anger like a command instead of a signal. Imagine the clarity you would gain if, in that moment of anger, you paused. Just 2 seconds. Just one breath. Imagine saying to yourself, this is anger. This is emotion, not instruction. This is information, not identity. That pause is power. That pause saves relationships. That pause saves self-respect. You have a choice. That's the key. Fear in risk-taking, the silent killer of potential. Now think about fear. Fear is sneaky. Fear disguises itself as logic. Fear sounds like a whisper of safety, but really, it's a wall between you and your potential. Fear says, don't try. You're not ready. You might fail. People will judge you. And most people listen. They obey. They retreat. They play small. But here's what high performers know. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Fear shows you where the stakes are. Fear shows you where the growth is. Fear shows you where the opportunity is. It's not about feeling fearless. It's about acting in spite of fear. That's discipline. Because fear isn't the enemy. Obedience to fear is the enemy. Your life changes the moment you stop treating fear as law and start treating it as data. Just data, just information. Nothing more. You have a choice. That's the key. The mental shift high performers live by. Here's the difference between high performers and everyone else. High performers act from clarity, not emotion. When anger rises, they pause. When fear whispers, they evaluate. When insecurity shows up, they don't hide, they inspect it. They don't move based on emotional turbulence. They move based on intentionality, principle, and discipline. It's not about comfort. It's about clarity. It's not about impulse. It's about intention. It's not about feeling ready. It's about choosing courage. They understand the rule. Emotion is information, not instruction. If you want to rise, you must live by the same rule. How to stop obeying emotions, the 3-step method. Here's your drill, your daily practice, your mental training for emotional mastery. Step 1. Call it out loudly, even in your mind. This is anger. This is fear. This is insecurity. This is frustration. Labeling the emotion separates you from it. It turns a wave into a fact, a feeling into an object. It gives you distance, and distance gives you power. Step 2. Ask the command question. What is this emotion trying to make me do? Anger wants you to attack. Fear wants you to retreat. Insecurity wants you to hide. Frustration wants you to quit. Now you see the instruction. Now you see what your emotion wants. And now, because you see it, you can decide. Step 3. Choose discipline over impulse. Pause. Breathe. Choose the action that aligns with your values, not your mood. Because it's not about emotional comfort. It's about disciplined action. You have a choice. That's the key. Real-world applications you can use today. Someone sends you a disrespectful message. Pause. Label the emotion. Act with clarity, not ego. You're afraid of starting a new project. Acknowledge the fear. Take one disciplined step anyway. You're insecure around someone more successful? Recognize the insecurity. Use it as motivation, not paralysis. Your emotions do not get the final say. Your discipline does. Your values do. Your choices do. You don't need their permission. Not your emotions, not your impulses, not your self-doubt. The real reason emotional control matters, why does all this matter? Because emotional obedience ruins lives. It ruins relationships. It ruins dreams. It ruins potential. Your entire world changes when you stop letting emotions dictate your actions. When you stop confusing emotional urges with smart decisions. When you stop giving your feelings the authority they never deserved. This is how you reclaim control. This is how you reclaim direction. This is how you reclaim yourself. Emotion is information, not identity, not command, not destiny.
Your reaction is your power. Your reaction is your reputation. Your reaction is your identity being revealed in real time. Every time something happens to you, a comment, a disappointment, a setback, a challenge, you are presented with a decision. Will you react or will you respond? Those two paths lead to two completely different lives. One path leads to chaos, regret, and emotional instability. The other leads to clarity, control, and respect. And here is the truth you must burn into your mind.
If you don't choose your reaction, the world will choose it for you. Say it again. If you don't choose your reaction, the world will choose it for you. That's the key. You have a choice. You always have. The difference between who you are and who you want to be. Your reaction is not just a moment. It's a message. It tells the world who you are. It tells the world what you stand for. It tells the world how much control you really have. People don't judge you by your intentions. They judge you by your reactions. Think about it. A calm person in chaos becomes a leader. A thoughtful person in conflict becomes respected. A disciplined person under pressure becomes unstoppable. But the opposite is just as true. A reactive person becomes unpredictable. An emotional person becomes unreliable. A defensive person becomes forgettable. Your reaction determines your identity before your words ever do. This is why emotional control matters. This is why mental discipline matters. This is why this chapter exists. Because if you don't choose your reaction, the world will choose it for you. The cost of reacting without thinking. Look back at your life. How many problems did you create with the reaction? Not a decision, not a plan, a reaction. You said something you didn't mean. You sent a message you regretted. You made a choice you later wished you could undo. You burned bridges that didn't need to be burned. Not because you're weak, but because you didn't pause. You didn't choose. You didn't take control of your reaction. You let the moment decide for you. You let the emotion speak for you. You let the impulse drive you. Reaction is expensive. It costs time. It costs relationships. It costs reputation. It costs opportunity. And it always costs peace. You don't need their permission to take your power back. You don't need their validation to stay calm. You don't need their understanding to stay disciplined. This is your life. This is your power. This is your responsibility. Leaders respond. They don't react. Every powerful leader understands one principle. You cannot lead if you cannot control your reaction. Leaders get criticized. Leaders get challenged. Leaders get disrespected. Leaders get blindsided. But what makes them leaders is simple. They don't react. They respond. They pause. They analyze. They decide from strength, not from emotion. Great leaders don't throw emotional punches. They don't get dragged into trivial arguments. They don't let the world dictate their reactions. And neither can you. Because here's the truth. Your reaction creates your brand. Are you known as calm or chaotic? Structured or unstable? Disciplined or impulsive? Your future depends on this answer more than you may realize. The pause formula, your new mental tool. If you want to regain control, if you want to protect your power, if you want to choose your reaction intentionally, you need a system. Here it is. Simple, direct, powerful. The pause formula. Step 1. Stop the reflex. When something triggers you, a comment, a tone, a disappointment, your body reacts instantly. Your heart rate rises, your muscles tighten, your mind speeds up. This is your reflex. Your training kicks in. But if you've never trained, your reflex is chaos. So the first step is simple. Stop. Don't speak. Don't act. Don't react. Just freeze the moment. Even 1 second of silence gives you control the world only dreams of having. Step 2. Name the emotion. Say it in your mind. This is anger. This is fear. This is embarrassment. This is ego. Naming the emotion separates you from it. You are not the emotion. You are the observer of the emotion. That's the key. Step 3. Ask the power question. What reaction would protect my power right now? Not your pride, not your impulse, not your insecurity, your power. This question cuts through emotional noise. It gives you clarity. It reminds you who's in control. Step 4. Choose the response that builds your identity. Not the reaction that feels good in the moment. Not the reaction that satisfies ego. Not the reaction that ends the discomfort fast. Choose the response that builds the identity you want to live with. You want to be respected? Choose calm. You want to be wise? Choose patience. You want to be powerful? Choose discipline. You have a choice. Every time. Without exception. If you don't choose your reaction, the world will choose it for you. And the world will always choose chaos. How reactions shape relationships, success, and peace. Your reaction determines everything. In relationships, people remember how you respond under pressure. They remember if you explode or stay composed, if you attack or understand, if you escalate or de-escalate. Your reaction can deepen trust or destroy it. In success, executives get hired for reaction control. Athletes win because of reaction control. Entrepreneurs survive because they don't make emotional decisions in emotional moments. Success is not about intelligence, not about luck. It's about discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. In your inner world, your reaction is the gateway to peace. Choosing discipline over impulse quiets the mind. Choosing response over reaction strengthens emotional muscle. Choosing clarity over chaos makes you unshakable. This is how you build a life you're proud of. One reaction at a time. The core truth you must remember. Your reaction is not automatic. Your reaction is a decision. Your reaction is your responsibility. You cannot control the world, but you can control what the world awakens in you. And once you control that, you control your identity, your relationships, your direction, your destiny. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need their permission to step into your power. Because if you don't choose your reaction, the world will choose it for you.
You want to build a stronger mind. But here's the truth you keep avoiding. You can't build a strong mind when you keep feeding a weak one. Every day, you're conditioning yourself. Every day, you're wiring your mind toward power or toward fragility. Every small choice is mental conditioning. That's the key. And the problem isn't that you're incapable. The problem is that you're feeding the wrong wolf. You're feeding your distractions. You're feeding your excuses. You're feeding your emotional impulses. And you don't even realize it. A weak mind isn't born. It's built. Built through habits. Built through repetition. Built through the small, comfortable choices that slowly suffocate your potential. Let's break it down. Gossip, the diet of the undisciplined. Every time you gossip, you tell your mind something dangerous. I have time for nonsense. You tell your identity, I'd rather talk about other people than build myself. You feed weakness. You feed insecurity. You feed the part of you that wants the easy dopamine of drama instead of the hard work of self-mastery. And understand this. A strong mind rejects gossip, not because it's moral, but because it's poison, because it drains focus, because it steals hours, because it trains your thoughts to wander instead of sharpen. You have a choice, and every time you say, "No, I don't want to hear it," you are conditioning your mind toward strength. Every small choice is mental conditioning. Scrolling, the silent thief of ambition. Let's talk about your phone. You don't realize how much of your potential it eats. You open it just for a second. Then you blink. 15 minutes gone. 30 minutes gone. An hour of your life gone. And here's the part you never consider. You didn't just lose time. You lost mental sharpness. You lost emotional discipline. You lost the ability to sit with your own thoughts without needing stimulation. It's not about the scrolling. It's about discipline. If you can't control your attention, you can't control your life. That's the key. High performers aren't superhuman. They just refuse to feed mental weakness. They refuse to give their focus away for free. You have a choice. Scroll or grow. Numb your mind or strengthen it. Every small choice is mental conditioning. Excuses, the language of the untrained mind. Excuses feel good. They protect your ego. They justify your comfort. They make you feel right, even when you're wrong. But they steal your power. Every excuse is a message to your brain. I am not responsible. I am not capable. I need an out. You don't need their permission, but you do need your own honesty. A strong mind takes responsibility even when it hurts. A weak mind runs from accountability. You have a choice. Blame or build. Justify or grow. It's not about your circumstances. It's about your discipline. Every small choice is mental conditioning. Overindulgence. Comfort as a cage. Let's talk about overindulgence. Food, entertainment, pleasure, comfort. Not because these things are bad, but because your relationship with them is undisciplined. A strong mind uses pleasure strategically. A weak mind uses pleasure as anesthesia. When you can't stop eating, when you can't turn off the show, when you can't put down the drink, you are not choosing. Your cravings are choosing for you. And if you don't choose your habits will choose your future. That's the key. A strong mind is built by restraint. Not total restriction, not denial, restraint. The ability to say, I can, but right now, I won't. Because every time you delay gratification, you build mental muscle. Every small choice is mental conditioning. Constant stimulation, the enemy of inner strength. You wonder why you can't think clearly. You wonder why you're anxious. You wonder why your focus is scattered. Here's why.
You never unplug. You never pause. You never sit with silence. You're addicted to stimulation. Music playing, videos running, notifications popping, noise everywhere. Your brain never gets rest. Your mind never gets space. A weak mind drowns in noise. A strong mind grows in stillness. You have a choice. Turn off the noise. Create mental space. Let your mind breathe. Every small choice is mental conditioning. The contrast: disciplined routines versus undisciplined routines. Let's compare two people. Person 1 wakes up and immediately reaches for their phone. They scroll. They lose time. They react to notifications. They start the day in chaos. Their mind is already weakened before breakfast. Person 2 wakes up deliberately. They breathe. They sit. They plan. They choose their first thought instead of letting the world choose it for them. One is feeding mental weakness. The other is feeding mental strength. This is not about talent. This is not about privilege. This is about discipline. You have a choice, and every choice counts. Every small choice is mental conditioning. What you must do next. Here are your instructions. Simple, direct, non-negotiable. Cut one mental poison today. Gossip, scrolling, excuses, overindulgence, constant stimulation. Just remove one. Start small, but start. Replace it with a strength-building habit. Read. Sit in silence. Take a walk. Plan your day. Reflect. Write. Repeat it daily until it becomes automatic. That's how mental strength is built. Not through intensity, through consistency. Stop feeding mental weakness. Start feeding discipline. Start feeding clarity. Start feeding power. Because your mind becomes what you repeat. And every small choice is mental conditioning. Transition to next chapter. You've learned how to stop feeding the habits that weaken you. You've seen the cost of distraction, excuses, and overindulgence. Now it's time to address the force that shapes every outcome in your life. The force that determines your energy, your confidence, your presence, and your results. You cut the junk. Now let's build the fuel.
You want to change your life. You want bigger results, deeper confidence, stronger discipline. But here's the truth you don't want to admit. You can't change anything until you control your attention. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. That's the key. Not talent, not luck, not resources. Attention, focus, the ability to hold your mind steady on one thing while the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. That is your superpower. Why focus beats everything else? Look at elite athletes. They are not superhuman. They are not always the strongest or the fastest, but they are the most focused. They repeat the same drill thousands of times. They train when they're tired. They practice when everybody else wants to be entertained. They protect their attention like their life depends on it. Because it does. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Look at monks. They sit in silence for hours. They train their minds the way warriors train their bodies. They eliminate noise. They eliminate distractions. not because they hate comfort, but because they understand power. A scattered mind is weak. A focused mind is unstoppable. You have a choice: scatter or sharpen, distract yourself or discipline yourself. It's not about your distractions, it's about your discipline. The modern problem: attention fragmentation. Today, most people suffer from a silent sickness: attention fragmentation. Their attention jumps, their mind flickers, their thoughts wander. Notification, phone buzz, new message, new tab, new dopamine hit. Nobody stays with anything long enough to master it. Nobody sits still enough to understand themselves. Your identity fractures when your attention fractures. Your goals crumble when your focus crumbles. Where your attention goes, your life follows. And your life cannot follow a direction you never stay committed to. You have a choice: direct your mind, or let the world direct it for you. That's the key. Leaders who control their attention control their destiny. Look at the most effective CEOs, not the loud ones, not the dramatic ones, the real ones, the ones who build lasting companies. What makes them powerful is not their charisma. It's not their intelligence. It's not their money. It's their focus. They know what matters. They cut distractions without hesitation. They delegate noise. They protect priorities like a warrior protects his shield. Because they understand this: if you don't control your mind, your environment will control it for you. You don't need their permission to take your focus back. You only need a decision. You have a choice. The consequence of a distracted life. Distraction doesn't just waste time. Distraction destroys identity. Every time you switch tasks, your mind resets, your flow breaks, your momentum dies, your confidence thins. You train your brain to become weak. You train your mind to chase noise instead of mastery. You become reactive instead of proactive, scattered instead of sharp, exhausted instead of effective. And here's the dangerous part: you start believing this is normal. You start believing this is who you are. But it's not who you are. It's who you've trained yourself to become. And you can retrain your mind. You can rebuild your focus. You can reclaim your attention. Every small choice is mental conditioning. Every moment you hold your focus, even for a few seconds longer, you build strength. Where your attention goes, your life follows. The power of sustained focus. When you focus deeply on one thing, just one thing, you unlock something rare in today's world. You enter flow. Your mind synchronizes. Your energy concentrates. Your identity rises. This is where breakthroughs happen. This is where people separate themselves from the average. This is where mastery is born. Not in talent, not in luck, not in motivation. In sustained focus. You want a better life? Focus. You want more money? Focus. You want a stronger mind? Focus. Where your attention goes, your life follows. That's the key. Your identity follows what you repeatedly focus on. If you focus on problems, you become anxious. If you focus on excuses, you become powerless. If you focus on distractions, you become scattered. But if you focus on discipline, you become strong. If you focus on growth, you become capable. If you focus on purpose, you become unstoppable. It's not about your weakness. It's about your discipline. Your identity is shaped by what you consistently give your attention to. Every day you're training yourself. Every hour you're building a direction. The question is it a direction you chose or a direction chosen for you?
You have a choice. Real-world instructions, how to build unbreakable focus. Let's get practical. Here's how you start conditioning the mind toward laser focus. 1. Choose your one thing each day. One priority, one target, one needle mover. Everything else becomes secondary. 2. Create focus blocks. 20 to 40 minutes. No phone, no talking, no switching tasks. Just one thing. This alone will transform your life. 3. Cut one distraction permanently. Not reduce, remove. Delete one app, block one website, cut one toxic habit. It doesn't need your permission to stay. You don't need its permission to remove it. 4. Guard your environment. Your environment shapes your attention faster than your intention does. Clean your space, simplify your desk, control your inputs. 5. Build a mind that stays. When your thoughts wander, bring them back. When you lose focus, reset. When you feel pulled, hold your ground. Every return builds strength. Every comeback builds discipline. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Transition to the next chapter. You've learned what every elite performer already knows. You've learned what every distracted person never realizes. Your focus is your superpower. Your attention determines your direction. Now you must protect something even more precious. Your energy, your inner power source, the fuel behind every decision and every discipline. You've sharpened the mind. Now let's strengthen the force behind it.
You want approval. You want recognition. You want others to tell you you're good enough. And here's the truth. Needing applause makes you a slave. That's the key. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how much potential you have. If you live to please others, you live in chains. You have a choice. You don't need their permission to step into power. You don't need their applause to validate your worth. And the moment you realize this, your life changes forever. Why seeking approval makes you fragile? Look around. Most people are walking emotional landmines. They crumble under criticism. They chase likes. They hinge their self-worth on a nod, a smile, a thumbs up. Why? Because they've trained themselves to depend on it. Every compliment becomes a drug. Every disapproval becomes a trigger. Their confidence rises and falls like the tides, depending entirely on outside forces. And that's the problem. Needing applause makes you a slave. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about ignoring others. It's about taking ownership of your self-respect. The cost of validation dependence. When you seek approval, you sacrifice power. You say yes when you should say no. You compromise your values to avoid conflict. You mold yourself into what others expect instead of who you are. You become reactive instead of proactive. You let the world dictate your emotions. You give away control over your energy, your focus, your life. Needing applause makes you a slave. Say it again. Needing applause makes you a slave. That's the key. Every time you seek approval, you condition your mind to obedience. Obedience to others, not yourself. And that's weakness. Real people, real transformation. Look at those who broke free. Some were ordinary employees, stuck in a cycle of approval seeking. Their work wasn't about impact, it was about praise, a nod from the boss, a compliment from colleagues. They shifted. They stopped asking for approval. They started measuring success internally. They set their own standards. They became unstoppable.
Now their work speaks for itself. They don't need applause. They don't wait for permission. Because control over your self-worth is power. The mindset shift you must make. Here's how you retrain yourself. Step 1. Identify the craving. Notice when you're doing something to get validation. Notice the subtle thoughts. Will they like this? What will they think? I hope they approve. Awareness is power. You can't fix what you don't see. Step 2. Reframe your motivation. Ask yourself, am I doing this for me or for them? If it's for them, you're feeding weakness. If it's for you, you're building discipline. It's not about arrogance. It's about self-command. Step 3. Practice independence. Make decisions without seeking approval. Take action before anyone notices. Trust your judgment. Stand by your choices. Needing applause makes you a slave. Replacing it with self-command makes you free. That's the key. Examples of self-command in action. Consider the entrepreneur who launches a business without anyone's support. Friends doubt, family questions, critics laugh. And he moves forward anyway, not because he ignores feedback, but because his self-worth isn't tied to applause. He commands himself first. He decides first. He acts first. Or the writer who publishes work despite rejection letters piling up. She doesn't wait for validation. She doesn't shrink from criticism. She writes for the craft. She writes for the mission. She writes for the discipline. Needing applause makes you a slave. Self-command makes you powerful. How seeking approval fractures your life. Every time you chase validation, you weaken 3 areas. Mental stability. Your emotions hinge on external judgment. A compliment lifts you. A critique crushes you. You cannot think clearly when your sense of self is borrowed. Decision-making. You choose what's safe. You choose what's popular. You choose what others will like, not what's right. Energy. Your energy flows toward people-pleasing. Your energy drains away from real goals. Your life becomes small, reactive, and shallow. Needing applause makes you a slave. You have a choice, and freedom is on the other side of that choice. Building internal validation. The antidote to approval addiction is simple, but not easy. Set your own standards. Define what excellence means to you. Measure success by your rules. Check your progress against yourself, not others. Celebrate privately. Acknowledge wins before anyone else notices. Feel satisfaction in the achievement itself. You don't need their applause. Use criticism as data, not judgment. Listen to feedback objectively. Filter what's useful. Ignore what's irrelevant. Stay aligned with your principles. Act despite fear of judgment. Start doing the hard things without waiting for permission or praise. Every courageous choice reinforces self-command. Needing applause makes you a slave. Every step away from validation is strength. Every decision based on self-command builds power. The daily practice. Every day you will face moments that test this. Someone criticizes you. Someone ignores you. Someone doubts you. Someone laughs at your choices. Pause. Label the moment. This is a test of my self-command. Remind yourself, needing applause makes me a slave. Choose to act for yourself, not for their recognition. Repeat this daily. Strength builds one decision at a time. Your mind is trained like a muscle. Self-command is the exercise. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Attention to self-command, not applause, reshapes destiny.
You live in a story. Every thought, every belief, every decision is shaped by the narrative you tell yourself. And here's the truth you rarely face. Your story is your cage or your crone. That's the key. Most people live trapped in a story written by fear, doubt, and habit. They replay the same failures. They relive the same excuses. They believe the same lies about what they can or cannot do. And they wonder why their life never changes. You have a choice. You can keep living in a story that confines you, or you can rewrite it. You don't need anyone's permission to become the hero of your own life. The power of internal narrative. Every decision you make is filtered through your story. Every risk you take or don't take is justified by it. Every action, every hesitation, every retreat is a result of it. Think about it. The athlete who doubts their ability will always perform below potential. The entrepreneur who believes they are unlucky will never take the necessary risks. The person who tells themselves, "I'm not good enough," will never act as if they are. Your internal narrative is not just words in your mind. It's the architect of your identity. It's the blueprint of your behavior. It's the foundation of your reality. Your story is your cage or your crown. Say it again. Your story is your cage or your crown. That's the key. How negative stories destroy you. Let's break it down. They limit your choices. If you believe you're unlucky, you don't take opportunities. If you believe you're weak, you avoid challenges. Your story narrows your world. They fracture your confidence. Every negative thought reinforces the lie. Every doubt grows louder. You question yourself instead of trusting your potential. They define your identity. You think, "This is who I am," and because you believe it, you act in ways that confirm it. You live inside the box, not outside it. Your story is not just fiction, it's a lens, and a lens determines what you see. You have a choice. The 3-step method to rewrite your story. You cannot change your life without rewriting the story you live in. Here's a method to do it. Step 1. Identify the narrative that limits you. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about who I am? I'm unlucky. I'm not smart enough. I don't have what it takes. Label it. See it for what it is, a story, not reality. You are not your story. You are the author of it. Step 2. Interrupt the negative loop. Every time that story runs, interrupt it. Say, "That's a lie. That's not the truth. That's my fear talking." Replace it immediately with a powerful command. I am capable. I can overcome. I create my own luck. This is training your mind to obey you, not fear. You don't need their permission to take control. Every repeated interruption rewires your thinking. Step 3. Rewrite it with purpose. Decide the new story you will live in. It's not wishful thinking. It's not empty affirmations. It's intentional, precise commands that shape identity. Your new story could be, "I take full responsibility for my life.
I act with courage regardless of fear. I make decisions from clarity, not doubt. Every morning, repeat it. Every time you hesitate, recall it. Every time fear whispers, obey it. Your story is no longer a cage. It's a crown. Real-life examples of story rewrite. Look at the entrepreneurs who went bankrupt and then built empires. They could have stayed trapped in the story of failure. They could have said, "I'm unlucky. I'll never recover." Instead, they rewrote their story. I am a builder. I learn. I overcome. I will succeed. Athletes recover from career-threatening injuries because they stop telling the story of limitation. They rewrite, I am strong. I adapt. I dominate. Even everyday people change their trajectory by shifting the internal narrative from I'll never get ahead to I am in control. I take action. I move forward. Your story is your cage or your crown. Choose the crown. The discipline of self-command. Rewriting your story is not passive, it's active. It's a discipline. Your internal narrative will try to revert. Old doubts will whisper. Old fears will resurface. You will feel resistance. You will want approval from others. You will want to return to comfort. You have a choice. Every day you can obey fear or obey command. Every day you can reinforce weakness or reinforce strength. Every day you can choose your story. It's not about eliminating doubt. It's about building obedience to your discipline. Your story is no longer a voice of fragility. It becomes a voice of authority, a voice that commands action, focus, and courage. Practical exercises. Daily reflection. Write down the negative story that showed up today. Identify the limiting beliefs. Label them as fiction. Command replacement. Write 3 to 5 strong internal commands that oppose the limiting story. Recite them each morning. Recite them each time fear or doubt arises. Visualize victory. See yourself acting in alignment with your new story. See yourself making decisions with clarity. See yourself thriving in situations that once intimidated you. Your story becomes the lens through which reality bends. Your story determines the risks you take, the confidence you feel, and the identity you embody.
Discipline is not a suggestion. Discipline is not optional. Discipline is the language of the mind. And here's the truth most people refuse to face. Without discipline, your potential dies quietly, slowly, invisibly. Talent fades. Motivation flickers. Opportunity passes. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Do it especially when your mind screams, "Stop." Do it especially when excuses tempt you. That's the key. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. It's the force that converts intention into results. It's what separates the fleeting from the lasting, the weak from the unstoppable. You have a choice. You can wait for motivation, or you can command yourself. You don't need their permission to act. The power of consistency. Look at any high performer. The athlete who wins gold. The soldier who survives intense training. The entrepreneur who builds an empire. None of them succeed by luck. None of them rely solely on talent. They succeed because of discipline, consistency, repetition. Every morning they wake up and do the work. Every day, whether they feel like it or not, they execute the routine. Every day they reinforce habits that strengthen their mind and body. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Do it especially when your mind says, "I'll start tomorrow." Do it especially when the world encourages shortcuts. That is how mental muscle is built. That is how resilience is forged. That is how results compound. Military parallels. Discipline as survival. Consider military training. Every drill, every run, every repetition is designed to make obedience to discipline automatic. Soldiers act under pressure because they trained when they didn't want to. They follow routines when motivation is gone. They execute commands even when fear screams. Your life is no different. The world will not wait for your motivation. Your goals will not bend to your excuses. Discipline is what allows you to show up consistently, regardless of feelings, environment, or circumstances. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Do it especially when your mind resists. Do it especially when excuses knock at your door. That's the key. Athletic parallels. The daily edge. Elite athletes don't train because they feel like it. They train because discipline trumps talent. They repeat movements, refine techniques, and push boundaries day after day, rain or shine, fatigue or pain. Their performance is a direct reflection of their routine, not motivation, not inspiration. Routine, repetition, consistency. You have a choice. You can chase bursts of energy, or you can enforce discipline that never depends on emotion. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Your mind becomes strong when you follow through. Your character grows when you refuse excuses. Your results expand when discipline is non-negotiable. The routine of discipline. Discipline thrives in structure. Structure creates predictability. Predictability removes decision fatigue. Decision fatigue destroys willpower. Here's how to build a disciplined routine. Set the non-negotiables. Write down 3 key actions you will complete daily. Do them before checking your phone or allowing distractions. Your mind will obey the routine even when feelings resist. Control your environment. Remove temptations. Reduce distractions. Make the easy choice the disciplined choice. Your surroundings shape behavior faster than your willpower alone. Implement mental drills. Push through resistance in small, controlled ways daily. Stand in discomfort. Resist instant gratification. Do one thing that strengthens focus, patience, or courage every day. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Do it especially when excuses whisper. Do it especially when the world encourages laziness. Discipline builds resilience. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is preparation. It teaches the mind to endure discomfort, embrace responsibility, and overcome obstacles. Without it, life knocks you down and keeps you there. With it, every challenge becomes a step forward. Every obstacle becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes feedback. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Every act of disciplined obedience strengthens your mental immunity. Every repeated commitment grows your inner fortress. Every consistent choice compounds results. Your mind begins to speak the language of action, not excuses. Your life follows. The cost of neglecting discipline. Look around at the average person. They wake up late, they scroll, they react to every distraction. They promise change but follow through inconsistently. And then they wonder why success feels elusive, why energy dissipates, why confidence wavers. Discipline is the language they never learned. They speak excuses. They react to impulses. They live in chaos. Do it especially when you don't feel like it, or continue watching the results you want slip away. You have a choice. Practical discipline exercises. Daily non-negotiables. Write down 3 key actions you will complete daily. Do them before checking your phone or allowing distractions. Environmental alignment. Identify one area where your environment undermines discipline. Remove or restructure it immediately. Create a space that encourages focus and action. Mini mental drills.
Every day, pick one uncomfortable act that builds toughness. A cold shower, an early wake-up, finishing a difficult task first. Strength grows through repeated resistance. Review and reinforce. Each night, reflect on whether you did it even when you didn't feel like it. Reward yourself internally for obedience to discipline. Do it especially when you don't feel like it. Every time you repeat this, you condition your mind for excellence. Every repeated act reinforces consistency, resilience, and results.
Your mind is your most valuable asset. It's the command center of your life. It controls your choices, your energy, your confidence, and your destiny. And here's the truth most people ignore. Most of them are leaving their mental gate wide open. They let toxic people in. They let negative news in. They let endless distractions in. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, or powerless. Guard your mental gate like your life depends on it, because it does. That's the key. You have a choice. You can allow chaos, drama, and distraction to infiltrate, or you can enforce boundaries. You don't need their permission to protect your mind. Your environment shapes your mind. Your environment is constantly speaking to you. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the places you inhabit. Every input either strengthens or weakens you. Toxic people plant doubt. Negative news amplifies fear. Cluttered spaces create mental fog. Every day, you are either training your mind or weakening it. You have a choice. You don't need their permission to create a fortress of clarity. Guard your mental gate like your life depends on it, because it does. People, your mental influencers. Consider this. You spend hours with someone who complains constantly. You mirror their negativity. Your energy drops. Your decisions become reactive. Or you spend time with someone who demands excellence. You adopt their discipline. You absorb their confidence. Your focus sharpens. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's not a cliché. It's reality. You have a choice. You can continue letting toxic influences in, or you can curate your inner circle. You don't need their permission to demand quality input. Guard your mental gate like your life depends on it, because it does. Daily inputs, the information you allow. What you watch, read, and listen to programs your mind. Social media scrolls, clickbait headlines, endless distractions. These are not neutral. Every meme, every rant, every fear-driven story rewires your mind subtly. It conditions you to doubt, to fear, to chase validation. Stop feeding the chaos. Stop consuming content that fractures focus. Start feeding ideas that empower, inspire, and instruct. You have a choice. You can let your feed dictate your mood, or you can choose what enters your consciousness. You don't need their permission to curate your mental inputs. Guard your mental gate like your life depends on it, because it does. Environmental control strategies. Audit your surroundings. Notice spaces that induce distraction, stress, or low energy. Declutter. Rearrange. Create a space that encourages focus. Evaluate your relationships. Identify people who drain energy or encourage negative thinking. Limit exposure. Set boundaries. Seek associations that elevate you. Curate your content. Remove feeds, shows, or sources that fuel fear, gossip, or drama. Subscribe only to inputs that teach, challenge, and inspire. Daily mental hygiene. Start your day with intentional input. Read something that grows your mind. Listen to something that strengthens focus. Avoid chaos before it reaches your consciousness. You have a choice. You don't need their permission to defend your mind. Do it consistently.
The cost of neglecting mental territory. People ignore this at their peril. One toxic relationship can destabilize confidence. One constant stream of negativity can warp perspective. One uncontrolled environment can drain energy, crush motivation, and scatter attention. The world is full of mental predators. If you leave your gate open, they will exploit it. They will hijack your focus. They will fracture your discipline. Guard your mental gate like your life depends on it, because it does. Every compromise you make in your mental territory costs clarity, composure, and momentum. The benefits of strong mental boundaries. When you protect your mental territory, clarity increases. Decisions become faster. Options appear. You see opportunities instead of problems. Energy multiplies. You no longer drain yourself on drama or noise. You direct your energy towards meaningful actions. Emotional stability strengthens. You respond instead of react. You maintain composure under pressure. Your mind becomes a weapon, not a playground for chaos. You have a choice. Every boundary you enforce is a declaration of power. You don't need their permission to choose yourself. Daily practice of guarding your mind. Morning check-in. Decide what inputs you will allow today. Decide who you will engage with. Decide what environments you will enter. Boundary enforcement. Politely say no to distractions and toxic interactions. Step away when chaos surrounds you. Respect your own mental space. Evening reflection. Review how well you protected your mind. Notice moments you allowed unnecessary noise. Correct tomorrow. Consistency compounds. Boundaries build momentum. Discipline becomes easier when your environment supports it. Guard your mental gate like your life depends on it, because it does.
Here is the final truth, and it is simple. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Your thoughts, emotions, reactions, focus, discipline, story, and environment, all of it determines the quality of your life. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. That's the key. Everything you've learned so far, controlling thoughts, mastering emotions, choosing reactions, building focus, cultivating discipline, rewriting your story, guarding your mind, culminates here. This is where the transformation becomes complete. You have a choice. You can remain reactive, scattered, and victim to circumstance. Or you can command your inner world. You don't need anyone's permission to take full control of your mind. The unity of inner mastery. Your inner world is not fragmented. It's a system. Every part interacts with the other. Thoughts shape emotions. Emotions influence reactions. Reactions reinforce identity. Focus amplifies results. Discipline sustains momentum. Story guides perception. Environment either supports or sabotages everything. If one area is weak, the system fails. If all are strong, the system operates with unstoppable force. Do it especially when you don't feel like doing it. Do it especially when life resists. Do it especially when excuses whisper. Mastery is built in action, not intention. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. Thoughts, the command center. Your thoughts dictate everything. A wandering mind creates a wandering life. You must name them, label them, and observe them. You must decide which thoughts deserve attention and which are distractions. You have a choice every moment. Train your mind to focus. Interrupt destructive patterns. Feed thoughts that empower, not limit. You don't need their permission to reject negativity. You don't need permission to demand clarity. Do it every day. Do it relentlessly.
Master your thoughts. Emotions. Information, not instruction. Emotions are signals, not commands. Anger, fear, envy, they are not reasons to act. They are data to process. High performers feel but do not obey every impulse. They respond from clarity, not chaos. Pause before action. Name the emotion. Decide your response deliberately. You have a choice. You don't need anyone to validate your reactions. You are the commander of your emotional army. Do it consistently. Do it consciously. Do it relentlessly. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. Reactions. Choose before the world chooses. Every reaction either strengthens or diminishes you. If you don't choose your reaction, the world will choose it for you. Leaders, warriors, and high performers act deliberately. They employ the mental pause formula. Notice, decide, execute. Intervene before instinct dominates. Observe first, act second. Protect your reputation, your energy, and your focus. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission to act with authority. You are sovereign in your response. Do it deliberately. Do it repeatedly. Do it until it becomes automatic. Focus and discipline, the tools of power. Focus directs energy. Discipline sustains it. Where attention goes, your life follows. Discipline ensures execution when motivation fails. Daily routines reinforce control. Mental drills strengthen resilience. Environmental management removes friction. Do it especially when you don't feel like doing it. Do it especially when the world distracts you. Do it especially when excuses threaten to derail you. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. Story and environment, the foundation. Your internal narrative defines your identity. Your environment amplifies or undermines it. Rewrite limiting self-talk into commands of strength. Surround yourself with influences that elevate. Remove toxic relationships, content, and spaces that weaken. You have a choice. You don't need permission to curate your mind and space. Your inner world is sovereign territory. Do it daily. Do it deliberately. Do it relentlessly. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. The ultimate framework. To live with power, intention, and mental sovereignty, follow this framework. Command your thoughts. Decide what matters. Reject distraction. Observe and direct emotions. Feel without obeying. Choose reactions deliberately. Refuse automatic responses. Focus relentlessly. Direct energy with precision. Exercise discipline consistently. Build strength in action, not intention. Rewrite your story. Become the hero, not the victim. Protect your mental territory. Guard inputs, people, and spaces. Do it every day. Do it with authority. Do it without hesitation. Your outer world will follow. The power of sovereignty. A mastered inner world produces clarity under pressure, energy that can be directed, not drained, emotional stability in chaos, confidence independent of validation, results that compound over time. You have a choice. You can remain reactive, disorganized, and fragmented, or you can command the inner world and bend the outer world to your will. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need luck. You don't need external validation. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. Final challenge. This is your moment. Take full responsibility for your thoughts. Take full responsibility for your emotions. Take full responsibility for your reactions, focus, discipline, story, and environment. You have a choice. Do not postpone. Do not wait for motivation. Do not seek permission. Command your inner world today. Command it every day. Make it unassailable. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. That's the ultimate lesson. That's the path to unstoppable power. That's how you become the architect of your life.
Silence is not empty. Silence is not passive. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the amplifier of focus. And in a world that never shuts up, silence becomes your competitive advantage. You're being attacked every minute. Notifications, opinions, noise. Everyone wants your attention. Everyone wants a piece of your mind. But here's the truth most people avoid. Your attention is your life. If they own your attention, they own you. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need their permission to disconnect. You don't need their permission to protect your mind. You don't need their permission to choose silence. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're drowning in noise. Mental clutter, digital chaos, endless stimulation. It's not about laziness. It's about discipline. It's not about distraction. It's about self-control. It's not about weakness. It's about boundaries. Silence is the amplifier of focus. And right now, your focus is leaking. Let's fix that. 1. Silence begins with subtraction. To amplify your signal, you must eliminate the static. And the static is everywhere. Your phone, your conversations, your environment, your habits, your impulses. You have a choice. You can either let the world dictate your mind, or you can reclaim it. Start with this rule. Remove one source of noise every day. One app you delete, one person you mute, one platform you step back from, one habit you cut, one unnecessary conversation you stop participating in. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. You don't need their permission to say no. You don't need their permission to choose silence. That's the key. Because once you subtract the noise, your signal becomes visible. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your reactions become slower. Your decisions become sharper. Silence is the amplifier of focus. 2. Digital fasting, the discipline no one practices. You want clarity? Turn the damn noise off. You already know your phone controls you more than you control it. So here's your instruction. Digital fast for 3 hours a day, minimum. No notifications, no scrolling, no checking, no reacting. Just presence. Just silence. Just ownership of your attention. At first you'll feel restless, you'll feel uncomfortable. That's withdrawal. That's how you know technology has more power over you than you thought. But remember, you don't need their permission to take your power back. You have a choice. And if you choose silence, you choose mastery. Silence is the amplifier of focus. 3. Scheduled thinking, the power of mental order. Most people never think. They react, they improvise, they panic, they drift. But disciplined people schedule time to think. Not scroll, not consume. Think. 10 minutes a day, in silence. No noise, no input, only output. Ask yourself, what matters today? What is unnecessary? What needs to be removed? What decisions am I avoiding? Scheduled thinking turns chaos into structure. It turns anxiety into direction. It turns noise into clarity. It's not about intelligence, it's about discipline. It's not about talent, it's about structure. It's not about motivation, it's about silence. Silence is the amplifier of focus. 4. Meditative control, the discipline of being still. You don't need incense, you don't need a cushion, you don't need a guru. You need stillness. Sit, breathe, observe, detach.
Meditation is not about becoming calm. It's about becoming in control. Control of your thoughts, control of your impulses, control of your reactions. Every time you sit in silence, you're telling your mind, I'm the one in charge. Not anxiety, not noise, not impulse, not distraction. You have a choice, and sitting in silence, even for 5 minutes, is how you reclaim that choice. Silence is the amplifier of focus. 5. Environmental rules. Shape your space, shape your mind. Your environment is programming you, whether you notice it or not. Clutter equals chaos. Noise equals distraction. Mess equals mental fog. You need environment rules, hard rules, non-negotiable rules. Rule number 1, remove visual clutter. Rule number 2, remove digital clutter. Rule number 3, remove auditory clutter. Rule number 4, remove toxic people from your physical space. Rule number 5, keep your work area a temple, not a landfill. Because when your environment is loud, your mind becomes louder. And when your environment is silent, your mind becomes sharper. It's not about aesthetics, it's about discipline. It's not about comfort, it's about clarity. Silence is the amplifier of focus. 6. Emotional noise, the loudest distraction of all. People think external noise distracts them. Not true. Internal noise is the real enemy. Overthinking, worry, doubt, fear, insecurity, comparison. These voices are loud, and they dominate your internal world. But remember, you don't silence emotional noise by arguing with it. You silence it with discipline. How? Through action, through routines, through structure, through silence. You don't fight emotional noise, you transcend it. You don't need their permission to stop engaging with thoughts that weaken you. You don't need their permission to stop reacting. You have a choice. Silence is the amplifier of focus. 7. Your signal, the power you've ignored. Your signal is your purpose, your values, your long-term vision, your identity. But you can't hear any of that if the noise is louder. You can't access your potential when your mind is overstimulated. You can't find clarity when you're constantly distracted. You can't build discipline when your environment is louder than your goals. Silence reveals your signal. Silence sharpens your mind. Silence strengthens your discipline. Silence amplifies everything that matters. You have a choice. Choose silence. Choose focus. Choose mastery. Silence is the amplifier of focus. Conclusion and transition. When you silence the noise, you stop living on autopilot. You stop reacting. You start choosing. You start leading. You start becoming the person you were supposed to be. You've learned how silence amplifies your focus. Now it's time to understand the hidden forces shaping your life from the shadows.
Your life isn't built in the big moments. Your life is built in the smallest ones. The tiny choices, the invisible decisions, the little actions you take when no one is watching. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. Remember that. Repeat it. Live by it. People wait for the big turning point, the big opportunity, the big breakthrough. But that's not where transformation happens. Transformation happens in the micro, in the subtle, in the daily, in the mundane. You have a choice every minute, and your minutes shape your destiny far more than your milestones. That's the key. 1. Micro-decisions are the true architecture of discipline. It's not about the huge decision to change your life. It's about the micro-decision to get out of bed when you don't feel like it. It's not about declaring a new identity. It's about choosing the next action that aligns with that identity. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Always discipline. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. And here's the truth. Your micro-decisions expose who you really are. Not your goals, not your dreams, not your promises, your choices. Do you snooze or do you rise? Do you scroll or do you focus? Do you react or do you breathe? Do you complain or do you execute? You have a choice, and every tiny choice becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. That's the key. 2. Morning rituals. The first 10 minutes decide everything. Most people lose the day in the first 10 minutes, before they speak, before they eat, before they begin. Because the first micro-decision each morning sets the tone for every decision after it. Your morning is your mental frontier. If you control it, you control your day. If you lose it, you lose control of everything else. Here's the truth. You don't need their permission to own your morning. Your first micro-decision should be intentional, not reactive. Here are your rules. 1. Don't touch your phone for the first 10 minutes. 2. Stand, stretch, breathe. Fully wake. 3. Set one intention for the day. Just one. 4. Make your bed. Yes, it matters. 5. Drink water before anything else. These aren't big actions. They're micro actions, micro choices, micro victories. But those victories compound. They build momentum. They build identity. They build discipline. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. 3. Micro resolutions. The discipline you can't escape. Forget New Year's resolutions. Those fail because they're too big, too vague, too dramatic. You need micro resolutions. Small, specific, and non-negotiable. A micro resolution is something you can complete in 2 minutes or less. Something you do daily. Something you cannot excuse away. Read 1 page. Do 5 push-ups. Clean 1 surface. Meditate for 1 minute. Write 1 sentence. Say no once a day. Every time you keep a micro resolution, you send a message to your mind. I follow through. I show up. I do what I say. That's discipline. That's identity. That's power. Remember, it's not about huge leaps. It's about micro steps. Because micro steps compound. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. 4. Incremental discipline, the 1% rule. You want transformation? Stop trying to flip your life upside down in one day. It won't happen. But 1% today? 1% tomorrow? 1% again? That works. Incremental discipline is the discipline of small moves, small wins, small improvements. People think discipline is about big sacrifices. No. Discipline is about consistency. Discipline is about daily alignment. Discipline is about micro choices that strengthen your identity. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And progress lives in the micro. You have a choice. Every time you hesitate, you have a choice. Every time you're tempted, you have a choice. Every time you're tired, you have a choice. Make the 1% choice. Make the micro choice. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. 5. The habit loop. Win the moment, win the mind. Habits are built in 3 parts: cue, action, reward. But here's what most people miss. The habit isn't built in the action. It's built in the micro decision that leads to the action. The 1 second before you choose. The 1 breath before you act. The 1 thought before you decide. That's where your power is. That's the key. If you win that moment, you win everything. If you lose that moment, you repeat your past. Win the micro decision and you rewrite your identity. Lose it,
and you reinforce your weakness. It's not about temptation. It's about discipline. It's not about emotion. It's about control. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. 6. Microdiscipline in real life. Let's get real. Transformation isn't about dramatic changes. Transformation is about daily choices that no one congratulates you for. Holding your tongue when you want to react. Walking away from gossip. Choosing water instead of soda. Turning off the screen when the clock hits midnight. Reading instead of scrolling. Doing the work instead of making excuses. You don't need their permission for any of this. You have a choice. And every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. When you string enough disciplined micro-decisions together, something shifts. You stop negotiating with your weakness. You stop explaining your failure. You stop compromising your future. You start becoming dangerous. You start becoming disciplined. You start becoming the person you promised yourself you'd become, one micro-decision at a time. 7. Your future is built in the moments you ignore. People fantasize about the future, but your future shows up in the smallest choices you make today. Your character isn't shaped by major events. Your character is shaped by micro-decisions. Do you stay disciplined when the task is boring? Do you stay committed when the progress is slow? Do you stay focused when no one is watching? That's the key. Greatness is micro. Mastery is micro. Strength is micro. Your life is the sum of your daily choices. Your identity is the sum of your small commitments. Your future is the sum of your tiny disciplines. Every tiny choice compounds or corrodes your life. Choose wisely, choose consistently, choose intentionally. Conclusion and transition. Every micro-decision is a vote for strength, or a vote for weakness, a vote for discipline, or a vote for distraction, a vote for your future, or a vote for your past. You have a choice. And when you master micro-decisions, you master momentum, you master identity, you master discipline. You've learned how small choices shape your life. Now it's time to understand the force that turns choices into destiny.
Growth has a price, and the price is pain. Not destruction, not suffering, not misery, but the discomfort that comes when your old self begins to die and your new self begins to emerge. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. That is the law. That is the truth. That is the reality most people try to escape. But not you. Not anymore. You have a choice: to run from the discomfort, or to step into it with intention, with clarity, with discipline. That's the key. 1. Pain is the evidence that you're evolving. People misunderstand pain. They think pain means they're failing. They think discomfort means something is wrong. But discomfort is a signal. Discomfort is a message. Discomfort is a sign that something inside you is being rewired, rebuilt, strengthened, sharpened. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. Think about it. Muscles grow when they are torn. Skills grow when they are challenged. Confidence grows when it is tested. Wisdom grows when mistakes are made. Strength grows when resistance is present. Why would your mind be any different? Why would your identity be any different? Why would your destiny be any different? You have a choice: avoid the pain and remain the same, or embrace the pain and evolve. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. 2. Stop labeling discomfort as danger. Your brain has one job: survival. So when you step toward the unknown, your brain screams. It panics. It warns you. It tries to pull you back. But listen carefully. Your brain can't tell the difference between discomfort and danger. It reacts the same way. You must become smarter than your own impulses.
You must learn to override the false alarms. You must understand the difference between this is dangerous and this is new. That's the key. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. Stop running from the burn. Stop resisting the stretch. Stop escaping the discomfort. You have a choice. Lean in, not away. 3. The old self fights back. Every time you decide to level up, your old self tries to pull you back. It doesn't do it with force. It does it with comfort, with excuses, with soft options, with the temptation of the familiar. Be aware of this. This is psychological gravity trying to drag you down. But here's the truth. Your old self is dying, and dying things don't go quietly. Expect the resistance. Expect the friction. Expect the discomfort. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. When you feel resistance, don't retreat. Advance. When you feel discomfort, don't pause. Push. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need your old self's approval either. 4. Pain is your teacher. Treat it like one. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is information. Pain is feedback. When something hurts, ask, what is this trying to teach me? What weakness is being exposed? What part of me is being upgraded? What discipline is being demanded? That's the mindset of a warrior. That's the mindset of someone who grows. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. Most people want the reward, but not the discomfort. They want the transformation, but not the tension. They want the outcome, but not the pressure. You have a choice. You can be most people, or you can be the exception. 5. Discomfort is the currency of progress. Everything you want requires discomfort. More strength, more discipline, more clarity, more confidence, more power. You don't gain any of these by staying comfortable. You gain them by pushing your threshold, by expanding your limits, by embracing the tension that comes with growth. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. Think about elite athletes. Think about monks. Think about leaders. Think about warriors. Every one of them willingly steps into discomfort, not because they enjoy pain, but because they understand one truth. Comfort kills progress. You have a choice. Choose discomfort. Choose pressure. Choose the path that forces you to evolve. 6. Turn pain into fuel. You must learn to transmute discomfort. Turn it into energy. Turn it into focus. Turn it into discipline. When you feel the emotional burn, say, this is growth. This is progress. This is me becoming stronger. Don't back down. Don't break. Don't negotiate with weakness. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. Here is your simple rule. When you feel discomfort, take one more step. Just one. And that one step separates the strong from the weak, the disciplined from the distracted, the achievers from the quitters. You don't need their permission to push forward, and you don't need comfort to grow. 7. Pain reveals your real strength. You don't learn who you are when everything feels good. You learn who you are when everything gets difficult. Pressure reveals character. Struggle reveals integrity. Resistance reveals identity. Pain reveals power. Your real strength is not shown in convenience. Your real strength is shown in the moments you want to quit but refuse to. In the moments your emotions scream, stop, but your discipline whispers, continue. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. You have a choice. Rise through the discomfort. Elevate through the challenge. Your future self is built in your moments of struggle,
not your moments of ease. 8. The pain you avoid becomes the limit you live under. Avoid discomfort long enough, and it becomes your prison. Avoid discipline long enough, and it becomes your weakness. Avoid pressure long enough, and it becomes your identity. But embrace discomfort? You break the prison. You break the limits. You break the old self. That's the key. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. The pain you face today becomes the strength you carry tomorrow. The discipline you apply today becomes the freedom you earn tomorrow. You have a choice: avoid pain and stay stuck, or embrace pain and move forward. Conclusion and transition. Growth demands discomfort. Growth demands pressure. Growth demands pain. Not suffering, transformation. Not harm, evolution. Not damage, development. You have a choice. And when you choose to embrace the pain, you choose to embrace your future. Growth never comes without pain, but pain always comes with growth. You're learning to evolve through discomfort. Now it's time to learn the force that keeps you moving no matter what stands in your way.
Time. The one resource you will never get back. The one currency everyone is given equally, yet almost everyone spends foolishly. You say you want a better life. You say you want power, discipline, control. But the truth is simple. You can't take control of your life until you take control of your time. That's the key. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they leak time. Slowly, silently, consistently. You have a choice. Every hour is a choice. Every minute is a vote. And every second is a statement of who you are becoming. The world will try to steal your time. Notifications, drama, noise. People who want your attention but don't deserve it. Situations that drain your energy but give nothing back. But listen carefully. You don't need their permission to take your time back. This chapter is about reclamation, reclaiming your hours, reclaiming your focus, reclaiming your life. Because your time is your currency, and how you spend it determines everything about your future. The first truth. You are losing time because you are not tracking it. You cannot master what you do not measure. Most people have no idea where their time goes. They think they're busy, but they're not productive. They think they're working, but they're actually distracting themselves. You have a choice. Track your time or keep lying to yourself. For the next 7 days, audit every hour. No excuses. No skipping. Write down what you did with your day. You'll be shocked. Not because you're lazy, but because you're unconscious. You scroll without realizing it. You drift without noticing it. You waste without meaning to. But here's the truth. Your time doesn't care about your intentions. It responds only to your decisions. That's the discipline. The second truth. Time isn't lost. It's spent on the wrong things. People say, I don't have time. No, you do have time. You're just spending it on the wrong things. You don't lack hours. You lack priorities. That's the key. It's not about laziness. It's about discipline. It's about choosing what matters instead of surrendering to what's easy. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you spend your time poorly. Every time you choose distraction over focus, you pay a hidden tax. Every time you say yes when you should say no, you give away your hours like they mean nothing. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The third truth. Energy management is more important than time management. Some hours are worth more than others. Some hours make you powerful. Some hours make you weak.
This is where most people fail. They try to manage time, but ignore energy. If your morning energy is your sharpest, that's where your hardest work belongs. If your creativity peaks in the evening, that's where your strategic thinking belongs. Stop fighting your biology. Start using it. It's not about trying harder. It's about structuring smarter. That's the discipline. The fourth truth. Schedules aren't restrictions. They are liberations. People resist scheduling because they think it limits them. Wrong. A schedule doesn't restrict your freedom. A schedule protects your freedom. When you schedule your day, you are declaring, my time is mine. My focus is mine. My life is mine. And you don't need their permission. A powerful person doesn't live by impulse. A powerful person lives by intention. Create time blocks. Guard them. Honor them. Treat them like sacred ground. That's how you reclaim your life. The fifth truth. Your future self is watching how you spend today. Imagine your future self standing in front of you, stronger, wiser, more disciplined. What would they say about how you spend your time? Would they thank you? Or would they ask why you threw away the one resource they needed most? You have a choice. Every day you choose who you become. When you waste your time, you waste your potential. When you reclaim your time, you reclaim your identity. Your time is your currency, and the way you spend it determines everything about your future. Real-world behavioral instructions. 1. The non-negotiable hour. Choose 1 hour every day that belongs only to you. No excuses, no interruptions. Use it to build something that matters. 2. The 1 yes, 10 no's rule. For every yes you give, enforce 10 no's. If it's not aligned with your mission, decline it. 3. The daily 3. Ask yourself, what 3 things must get done today, no matter what? Those are your priorities. Everything else is noise. 4. The digital gate. Turn off notifications. Not some, all. If something is truly important, it will wait. 5. The time debt check. Every night ask, did I spend today or did I waste today? Answer honestly. This is discipline. This is sovereignty. This is how you reclaim your time. The final truth. When you reclaim your time, you reclaim your life. Because time is not just hours. Time is identity. Time is direction. Time is destiny. You want a powerful life? Control your hours. Control your days. Control your weeks. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your life. Because your time is your currency, and the way you spend it becomes the story of your existence. You have a choice. Choose wisely. Choose discipline. Choose sovereignty. You reclaimed your time. Now it's time to confront the next level of power.
Look in the mirror. Not the glass mirror. The real mirror. The internal one. The mirror that shows your truth, not your excuses. That mirror never lies. That mirror exposes your discipline. That mirror exposes your habits. That mirror exposes your choices. And here's the truth you've avoided for too long. Accountability is the difference between who you are and who you claim you want to be. You can tell the world stories. You can tell people excuses. You can blame your past, your environment, your circumstances, but you cannot lie to yourself. That's the key. Because accountability is the gateway to transformation. Without it, nothing you learn in this book will matter. Without it, your dreams remain fantasies. Without it, your intentions remain empty promises.
You have a choice: to face yourself or to run from yourself, to confront your truth or to hide behind convenient lies. This chapter is a mirror that reveals the truth. You are responsible for what you do. You are responsible for what you don't do. And you have no permission to blame anyone else. You don't need their permission to hold yourself accountable, but you do need courage. The first truth: accountability kills excuses. Excuses are easy. Excuses are comfortable. Excuses are familiar. But excuses destroy lives. Excuses destroy potential. Excuses destroy power. Every excuse you keep is a barrier you build around your own growth. Every excuse you defend is discipline you abandon. You can lie to the world, but never lie to yourself. That's the key. Accountability forces you to confront the truth. You are exactly where your choices have placed you. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not fate, not chance. Your choices. That's not punishment. That's empowerment. Because if your choices created this life, your choices can create the next one. You have a choice. Always. The second truth: self-monitoring reveals who you really are. Accountability begins with observation. Not judgment, not guilt, not shame. Observation. Track your actions. Track your habits. Track your reactions. Track your emotional patterns. Most people run from self-monitoring because they fear what they'll find. But what they fear is exactly what they need to see. If you don't monitor your behavior, you live blind. And a blind life cannot be a disciplined life. You don't need their permission to track your own progress. You only need honesty. Here's what self-monitoring reveals: how you spend your time, what triggers your reactions, where you sabotage yourself, why you fall into patterns, when you choose comfort over discipline. It's not about avoiding mistakes, it's about owning them. That's the discipline. Write it down, review it daily. Face your patterns. Face your truth. Because your truth is the foundation of your transformation. The third truth: public accountability amplifies your commitment. There is a reason champions have coaches. There is a reason elite performers have teams. There is a reason winners refuse to operate alone. Not because they lack discipline, but because they understand a simple truth. Public accountability increases pressure, and pressure strengthens performance. You don't need the whole world watching. One person is enough. One partner, one friend, one mentor. Someone who sees your patterns. Someone who challenges your excuses. Someone who refuses to let you shrink. You have a choice: to keep your goals in the dark where they die, or bring them into the light where they grow. You don't need their permission, but you do need support. Because accountability creates consequence, and consequence creates discipline. That's the key. The fourth truth: feedback loops are your growth engine. Growth is not random. Growth is engineered. Growth is intentional. And the engine of that growth is simple: feedback. Ritualized feedback loops are the tools of disciplined individuals. They don't wait for life to teach them lessons, they seek the lessons daily. A feedback loop has 3 steps. Observe what happened, analyze what worked and what didn't, adjust your behavior immediately. Not next week, not next month, not when you feel ready, immediately. It's not about shame. It's about refinement. It's about evolution. It's about becoming the version of yourself you claim to respect. You can lie to the world, but never lie to yourself. A feedback loop is honesty in action. The 5th truth. Accountability demands courage. It is easy to point fingers. It is easy to blame circumstances. It is easy to avoid responsibility. But accountability is courage. Accountability is maturity. Accountability is strength. Because accountability forces you to say, I created this. I allowed this. I tolerated this. And I can change this. You have a choice: to complain or to confront, to blame or to build, to hide or to rise. The mirror of accountability is uncomfortable. But discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Because growth never comes without pain, and the pain of responsibility is the beginning of power. Real-world behavioral instructions. The daily mirror check. Every night, ask, what did I do today that aligned with my goals? What did I do today that sabotaged them? Write it, own it. The accountability partner rule. Choose someone you trust. Share your goals. Share your deadlines. Share your progress weekly. No hiding. The weekly review ritual. Once a week, sit alone. No phone, no noise. Ask yourself, what patterns are holding me back? Then, break one pattern immediately. The zero excuse policy. Starting today, eliminate every sentence that begins with, but I. If you hear yourself making an excuse, stop mid-sentence. Replace it with, what can I do differently? The monthly transformation audit. Every 30 days, list what you improved, what you avoided, what you failed to confront, what you must change next month. This is discipline. This is ownership. This is accountability. The final truth. You cannot transform without truth. You want power? Face yourself. You want discipline? Hold yourself to a higher standard. You want sovereignty? Stop lying to yourself. Because accountability is the foundation of self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of discipline, and discipline is the foundation of power. You can lie to the world, but never lie to yourself. You face the mirror. Now it's time to face the next weapon of power.
You have a mind. You have emotions. And most people live their entire lives confusing the two. They think feeling something means they must react. They think emotion equals instruction. They think impulse equals identity. It doesn't. Emotions are signals.
not commands. Emotions are data, not destiny. Emotions are tools. Use them. Don't obey them. That's the key. Because the moment you obey your emotions, you lose control of your life. And the moment you learn to control your emotional spectrum, you take back the throne of your inner world. You have a choice: to react or to respond, to explode or to evaluate, to obey or to observe. This is the discipline you avoided. This is the discipline you need. This is self-mastery. The first truth: your emotions are not you. You feel anger, but you are not anger. You feel fear, but you are not fear. You feel excitement, frustration, impatience, but none of these emotions define you unless you choose to obey them. That's the key. Most people fall because they merge with their emotions. They say, "I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm frustrated." But a disciplined mind says, "I am noticing anger, I am observing fear, I am witnessing frustration." One statement is identity. One statement is awareness. One statement traps you, one statement frees you. You don't need their permission to separate yourself from your emotions. You only need discipline. The second truth: emotional agility is a trained skill. People think emotional control is about suppression. It's not. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure creates explosions. Explosions create regret. Emotional mastery is not shutting down. It's redirecting. It's reframing. It's choosing your response. You have a choice. And emotional agility, like physical agility, must be trained. How do you train it? Through 3 core practices: labeling, reframing, and grounding. These practices give you power. These practices give you clarity. These practices give you sovereignty. Step 1. Labeling. Name the feeling, claim the power. When an emotion hits you, your first instinct is usually to react. Instantly, blindly, impulsively. That's what undisciplined minds do. But disciplined minds take 1 second, just one, to label the emotion. I am noticing irritation. I am noticing disappointment. I am noticing fear rising. I am noticing excitement. Labeling creates distance. Distance creates clarity. Clarity creates control. Because you cannot master what you refuse to name. This is the first step to emotional sovereignty. You have a choice: to drown in the emotion or to observe it from above. Labeling is how you rise above it. Step 2. Reframing. Turn the emotion into a tool. Once you label the emotion, you reframe it. Instead of allowing it to control your behavior, you turn it into fuel. Anger? Turn it into focus. Something needs to be corrected. Let's fix it. Fear? Turn it into preparation. This matters. Time to get ready. Frustration? Turn it into discipline. I am being tested. I will stay steady. Impatience? Turn it into strategy. What needs attention right now? What is the priority? Joy? Turn it into gratitude and calm strength, not recklessness. Most people let emotions hijack their actions. The disciplined turn emotions into power. Because emotions are tools. Use them. Don't obey them. That's the key. Step 3. Grounding. Return to your center before you act. Grounding is the anchor of emotional mastery. It pulls you out of reaction and back into control. Grounding requires two things: presence and breath. Not spiritual cliches, not soft advice. Pure physiological reset. When your breathing changes, your mind changes. When your mind changes, your choices change. Try this when emotions spike. Slow your breathing. Lower your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel the weight of your body. This stops emotional hijacking. This stops reactive behavior. This returns you to discipline. You don't need their permission to pause. You need awareness. Grounding is the weapon that prevents emotional chaos from becoming behavioral chaos. You have a choice. Always. The fourth truth: you must control both positive and negative emotions. Most people think emotional mastery is only about handling anger or fear. Wrong. You must also control excitement, joy, hope, anticipation. Why? Because positive emotions can sabotage discipline faster than negative ones. Excitement makes you impulsive. Joy makes you careless. Hope makes you wait instead of act. Anticipation makes you rush. The disciplined mind trains both spectrums, not chasing highs, not collapsing under lows. Because emotional neutrality is strength. Emotional clarity is power. You don't suppress emotions. You sit with them. You study them. You use them. Emotions are tools. Use them. Don't obey them. That's the key. The fifth truth: emotional mastery creates behavioral freedom. When you master your emotional spectrum, everything changes. Your relationships become calmer. Your decisions become sharper. Your reactions become intentional. Your focus becomes unbreakable. And your life becomes simpler. Because most chaos in your life came from one thing: reacting too fast. You acted before thinking. You spoke before reflecting. You moved before understanding. You chose before grounding. That ends now. You have a choice: to live ruled by waves of emotion, or become the lighthouse that stands unmoved. When you master your emotions, you master your future. You master your success. You master your peace. Master the inner world, and the outer world obeys. Real-world behavioral instructions. 1. Practice the 3-second pause rule. Before reacting, pause for 3 seconds. This will save you from 90% of your worst decisions. 2. Use emotional labeling daily. When you feel emotional pressure, say the emotion out loud. I am noticing frustration. Watch your clarity rise instantly. 3. Reframe the emotion. Ask, what is this emotion trying to show me? Turn it into a tool instead of a trigger. 4. Ground yourself in your body. Slow your breathing. Relax your shoulders. Feel your feet. Reset your physiology. Reset your mind. 5. Weekly emotional inventory. On Sundays, ask, what emotions controlled me this week? Then ask, how will I control them next week? That's discipline. That's mastery. Final truth: emotional strength is mental dominance. You can train your body. You can structure your time. You can build your habits. But if you don't master your emotions, you will always be at the mercy of your inner storms. Emotions are tools. Use them. Don't obey them. You have a choice. And this choice determines the direction of your entire life. You've learned to master the emotional spectrum. Now it's time to master the force that determines your long-term destiny.
You are shaped by what you do when no one is watching. Not by your goals, not by your dreams, not by the promises you make to yourself in moments of motivation. You are shaped by your invisible habits. Invisible habits build or break your destiny. That is not poetry, that is the truth, and you need to hear it without sugarcoating. You already have invisible habits. Everyone does. The question is simple. Are yours strengthening you or destroying you? You have a choice. That is the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world to validate your change. You need discipline. Because it's not about motivation, it's about discipline. Think about your mornings. Not the part you post online, the part no one sees. Do you wake up with purpose? Or do you roll over, scroll, drift, and delay your life by 10-minute intervals? Every delay is a vote. Every hesitation is a vote. Every unconscious action is a vote. And you're voting for the person you become. Invisible habits create automatic decisions. Automatic decisions create predictable outcomes. If you want a different outcome, change the habit that produces it. Let's break this down with clarity and force. Invisible habit number 1, the first thought of your day. Most people start with chaos. Most people start with anxiety. Most people start on autopilot. But you are not most people. You are listening to this because part of you knows you are capable of more. The moment you open your eyes, your mind grabs the first available habit. If that habit is distraction, your day collapses. If that habit is grounding, your day sharpens. You have a choice. Choose the thought intentionally. Say one sentence, I lead my mind. That is the key. Invisible habit number 2, micro-decisions. The small decisions define you more than the big ones. Why? Because you make thousands of small decisions every day, and each one accumulates into identity. Should I sit or stand? Should I speak or stay silent? Should I commit or procrastinate? Should I react or pause? You don't notice these micro-decisions, but your results notice. Your life notices. Your destiny notices. Invisible habits build or break your destiny. Say it again. Repeat it until it pierces your denial. Invisible habit number 5, what you reinforce. Every habit is reinforced by pleasure or pain, reward or punishment. And here's the hard truth. You secretly reward your worst behaviors. You reward procrastination with comfort. You reward distraction with dopamine. You reward fear with avoidance. Stop rewarding what weakens you. You have a choice. Replace your rewards. Reward progress, not escape. Reward discipline, not impulse. Reward structure, not chaos. You don't need anyone's permission to rebuild your reinforcement system. You can start today. That's the key. Invisible habit number 4, mental triggers. You think habits are physical. You think habits are actions, but every action starts with a trigger, a mental cue, a spark before behavior. Change the trigger and you change the behavior. If boredom triggers scrolling, replace the trigger. If stress triggers food, replace the trigger. If fear triggers silence, replace the trigger. You are not locked in your patterns. You trained them, and you can untrain them. But here is the part most people don't want to accept. You are responsible for every trigger you permit. You teach your mind how to react. You teach your mind what to expect. You teach your mind the rules of your life.
Invisible habits build or break your destiny. Say it again. Repeat it until it pierces your denial. Invisible habit number 5, habit stacking. If you want transformation, you must stack habits. One habit alone can inspire you. A stack of habits can redefine you. This is how you build a life that runs on discipline. Attach a new habit to an old one. Stack discipline on top of certainty. Example, after you drink water in the morning, you journal for 2 minutes. After you sit at your desk, you write the top 3 priorities. After you finish a meal, you walk for 5 minutes. Simple, focused, invisible to the world, but powerful to the core of who you are. Invisible habit number 6, habit elimination. Creating habits is half the game. Eliminating habits is the part you avoid. Why? Because elimination requires honesty. Elimination forces you to admit, this is hurting me. You can lie to the world, but never lie to yourself. You know what needs to go. You know what is draining you. You know what is shrinking your discipline. Stop pretending you don't. Eliminate one destructive routine today. Just one. That's the key. Remove the friction point. Remove the temptation. Remove the trigger. Remove the escape. Invisible habit number 7, the evening audit. If your morning sets intention, your evening sets accountability. This is where you look in the mirror. This is where you face the truth without emotion. This is where you evaluate your invisible habits. Ask 3 questions. What did I commit to today? What did I avoid today? What will I upgrade tomorrow? Do not negotiate. Do not explain. Do not justify. State the truth. Accept the truth. Move forward with the truth. Because your invisible habits are built in silence and exposed in results. And here is the ultimate point. Invisible habits are not soft. They are not optional. They are not background noise. They are the engine behind your identity. You want power? Build invisible habits. You want control? Build invisible habits. You want discipline, resilience, and direction. Build invisible habits. You have a choice. You always did. You always will. Now listen carefully, because this is the bridge to your next evolution. You understand your invisible habits. Now you must protect your time, because without control of time, no habit survives. You built your foundation. Now let's build your fortress.
Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is not weakness. Solitude is not isolation. Solitude is strategy. Solitude is power. Solitude is the environment where the strongest minds sharpen themselves. And today, you're going to learn how to use it, not fear it, not avoid it, not distract yourself from it. Because here's the truth you've ignored for too long. Alone is where you hear the voice of power. That's the key. You spend your life surrounded by noise, notifications, opinions, pressure, expectations, voices that compete for your attention, your energy, your identity. But here's what nobody told you. Noise steals clarity. Noise steals courage. Noise steals the part of you that actually knows the way forward. And that's why strategic solitude matters. Not accidental solitude, not forced solitude, not I got left out, so I guess I'm alone. No. Deliberate, intentional, purpose-built solitude. Because you have a choice. You can either wait for life to push you into silence, or you can claim silence as your weapon. You don't need their permission. Let's break this down. 1. Solitude is a weapon for clarity. When you step away from the noise, you see your life without distortion. You see your decisions without pressure. You see your future without fear. That's the key. Solitude gives you the truth. And you need the truth because you've been living inside other people's opinions for too long. You can lie to the world, but when you sit alone, you can't lie to yourself. That's why most people avoid solitude. It exposes what they've been running from. But you're not here to run. You're here to rise. And rise you will. 2. Solitude expands creativity. You think creativity comes from stimulation? From chaos? From having more voices, more ideas, more noise? No. Creativity is born in the quiet space between thoughts. Creativity appears when your mind finally has room to breathe. When you step into solitude, your mind unlocks its hidden doors. Ideas you couldn't see before suddenly stand in front of you. Solutions you couldn't find suddenly become obvious. That's the power of stepping away. It's not about disconnecting from the world. It's about reconnecting with yourself. 3. Solitude strengthens decision-making. Listen carefully. Your worst decisions came from pressure, hurry, or emotional noise. Your best decisions came from stillness, distance, and clarity. That's not an accident. That's a pattern. And patterns reveal the truth. In solitude, you process your choices without influence. You evaluate options without noise. You hear your intuition clearly, maybe for the first time. And this is critical. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. The discipline to step back, the discipline to pause, the discipline to think long-term, not impulsively. You have a choice. React fast or decide strong. Strategic solitude teaches you the difference. 4. The framework of strategic solitude. Let's talk about implementation. Real-world steps. No fluff, no theory. A. Reflection sessions. Sit alone with one question. What am I doing and why? Write the answer. Don't censor it. Don't beautify it. Just face it. B. Vision mapping. Once a week, sit alone and map your next 90 days. 1 page. 3 goals. Clear actions. That's it. Without solitude, you drift. In solitude, you choose direction. C. Journaling for precision. Not emotional dumping. Precision journaling. Write what you did today. Write what worked. Write what didn't. Write what must change. You don't need their permission to hold yourself accountable. D. Mental reset walks. No phone. No headphones. Just walking. Just breathing. Just thinking. Movement unlocks clarity. Stillness processes it. Solitude multiplies it. 5. Protecting your solitude. Strategic solitude means nothing if you don't guard it. You must protect your quiet time like you protect your goals, because it is your goal. Without clarity, everything collapses. Without silence, discipline weakens. You have a choice. Either set boundaries or let the world drain you dry. Turn your phone off. Close the door. Tell them you're unavailable. You don't need their permission to disappear for an hour and work on yourself. This isn't selfish. This is survival. This is strategy. This is necessary. 6. Solitude is not escape. It's enhancement. Understand this. You're not running from life when you choose solitude. You're preparing for it. You're sharpening your mind. You're centering your energy. You're eliminating mental clutter. Because it's not about isolation. It's about discipline. It's not about avoiding people. It's about strengthening yourself so people don't shake you. Alone is where you rebuild. Alone is where you recharge. Alone is where you transform, and transformation requires silence. 7. The repetition you must burn into your mind. Say it again. Say it until it becomes part of you. Alone is where you hear the voice of power. Alone is where you hear the voice of power. Alone is where you hear the voice of power. Because that voice, your voice, is the one you've been ignoring, but not anymore. You have a choice: to stay distracted or to become dangerous, to stay noisy or to become clear, to stay reactive or to become strategic. That's the key. Final transition. Solitude is the accelerator of discipline, the amplifier of clarity, the birthplace of your next evolution as a human being. You've learned how to step back, how to listen, how to see. Now it's time to move forward with force. Because solitude prepares you for the world, but intention commands it. You mastered the silence. Now, let's talk about the next level of control.
Setbacks are inevitable, but how you respond to them is optional. You have a choice, and that's the key. Right now, you might think setbacks stop you. You might think failures define you. You might think obstacles slow your momentum. But hear this clearly. Setbacks are the jet fuel for unstoppable momentum. If you understand how to use them, they don't weaken you, they weaponize you. Most people crumble at the first sign of friction. You will not. Because from this chapter forward, you will train yourself to treat every setback as secret training, private strength building, invisible progress. You don't need their permission to rise from what tried to break you. You only need discipline. And it starts with accepting this truth. Every setback contains information, and information is power. Let's break it down. The first shift: define the setback, don't let it define you. When something goes wrong, most people interpret it emotionally. They make it personal. They say, "Why me? Why does this always happen? I guess I'm not good enough." That mindset destroys momentum. That mindset kills growth. That mindset chains you to the same problems for life. But you are not most people. You have a choice, and that's the key. Every setback must be met with this question: what exactly happened, and what does it teach me? Not how do I feel about it, not who can I blame, not what excuse can I use to protect my ego. No, you attack the setback with clarity. You break it down like data. You extract the lesson. You transform the pain into precision. Because setbacks are not personal. Setbacks are mechanical. Learn the mechanics and you break the cycle. The second shift: reframe failure into feedback. There is no such thing as failure. There is only feedback. The world teaches you to fear being wrong, but discipline teaches you to use being wrong. Reframing is one of the most powerful mental technologies you have. And yes, it is a technology, a cognitive tool, a weapon. Here's the formula. Label the setback. Say exactly what happened. No emotion, no story, just facts. Extract the feedback. What did the situation expose? A weakness? A blind spot? A lack of preparation? A missing skill? Turn feedback into action. One small adjustment, one new system, one improved habit. That's all it takes. Because setbacks are not dead ends. They are mirrors. They reflect what you must fix to reach the next level. And here's the brutal truth. If you refuse to face the feedback, the setback will repeat. It's not personal. It's predictable. You have a choice. Take the feedback and evolve, or resist the feedback and repeat the pain. The third shift: build emotional insulation. Setbacks hurt because you attach identity to outcomes. You say, if I fail, I'm a failure. You say, if I lose, I'm a loser. You say, if I fall behind, I'm not good enough. That's emotional fragility disguised as self-awareness. It's not about perfection. It's about discipline. Discipline to separate who you are from what happened. Emotional insulation means this: you feel the sting, but you don't collapse. You acknowledge the pain, but you don't drown in it. You experience the setback, but you don't let it infect your identity. Here's how to build emotional insulation. Ground yourself with breathing. Slow, deep, controlled. You remind your body that you're in command. Name the emotion. Naming it reduces its power. Shift to objective thinking. Facts over feelings. Data over drama. Because emotions are tools. Use them. Don't obey them. The fourth shift: iterative improvement. You want unstoppable momentum? You want to become unshakable? You want to turn every setback into a stairway? Then you must adopt the mindset of iterative improvement. One adjustment at a time, one correction at a time, one layer stronger every single day. Here's the truth. Your life doesn't transform because of one massive change. It transforms because of hundreds of micro changes stacked consistently. That job you didn't get? It teaches you how to interview better. That relationship that collapsed? It teaches you boundaries and clarity. That project that failed? It teaches you structure, planning, pacing. Setbacks refine you. Setbacks sharpen you. Setbacks sculpt the discipline you claim to want. You say you want strength. You say you want power. You say you want resilience. But strength is earned in struggle. Power is built in pressure. Resilience is forged in the fire. You have a choice: run from the heat or use it to harden your character. The fifth shift: turn setbacks into systems. A setback becomes fuel only when you build a system around it. Ask yourself, what habit can this setback upgrade? What routine can this setback strengthen? What standard can this setback raise? What boundary can this setback reinforce? Systems protect you from repeating patterns. Systems make your discipline automatic. Systems turn chaos into strategy. Remember this line for the rest of your life. Setbacks expose the system you need to build next. That's the key. The final shift: use setbacks as momentum. The average person stops when things get hard. You will do the opposite. You will accelerate. When something goes wrong, you push harder. When someone doubts you, you refine your skills. When life hits you, you hit back with discipline. Because setbacks are not triggers for quitting. They are triggers for leveling up. Every time something breaks, you rebuild stronger. Every time something ends, you begin smarter. Every time something collapses, you rise with more clarity. Setbacks are the jet fuel for unstoppable momentum. Repeat that. Live that. Own that. You don't need their permission to transform. You only need discipline. You have a choice. Use it.
Respect is not given. Respect is not requested. Respect is not something you chase. Respect is something you become. And you become it through discipline, through consistency, and through the relentless execution of everything you've learned in this audiobook. This chapter ties everything together. This is where the scattered parts become a system. This is where your habits, your silence, your restraint, your emotional control, your delayed reactions, your solitude, your accountability, your standards, your choices finally converge into one identity. A self-mastered person. A person who commands respect without ever asking for it. Because here's the truth. You have a choice. To live like everyone else, or to live like someone others can't ignore. That's the key. Respect begins before anyone sees you. People think respect starts in public. Wrong. Respect starts in the dark. Respect starts in silent mornings, in lonely evenings, in private decisions. Respect starts when you choose discipline over emotion. Respect starts when you choose character over convenience. It starts when nobody's watching. Because if you need an audience to act strong, you're not strong. You're performing. You have a choice. And you must choose to live as the person you claim you want to be, even when there is no applause. That's the key. You don't need their permission to become someone respectable. You don't need validation to build discipline. Master yourself, and the world bows naturally. Respect is earned through sovereignty. Let's make this painfully clear. If your mood depends on other people, if your self-esteem depends on attention, if your direction depends on approval, you cannot command respect. Why? Because respect gravitates toward sovereignty. It gravitates toward people who are unshakable, people who don't flinch, people who don't beg, people who don't chase, people who don't fold under pressure. Respect follows individuals who own themselves, individuals who control their impulses, individuals who know where they are going and don't need the world to clap for them. Sovereignty is earned. It's practiced daily, and it begins with one decision repeated over and over again. I respond slowly. I act deliberately. I think before I move. It's not about ego. It's about discipline. Respect comes from consistent standards. One day of discipline won't change your life. 1 week of discipline won't command respect. Respect comes from years of your standards remaining unshaken. People watch your patterns. People remember your boundaries. People study your self-respect. People notice what you tolerate and what you refuse to accept. You teach the world how to treat you, and you teach them through your consistency. You have a choice. Every day, every interaction, every decision. That's the key. When your standards remain firm, even when you're tired, even when it's inconvenient, people feel it. Not because you told them, but because you lived it. Master yourself, and the world bows naturally. Respect comes from presence, not noise. You don't need to be the loudest. You don't need to dominate conversations. You don't need to announce who you are. People with real power move quietly. Their silence is heavy. Their presence speaks for them. And this presence comes from the disciplines you've already learned. The discipline of not reacting immediately. The discipline of emotional control. The discipline of solitude. The discipline of invisible habits.
the discipline of accountability. These disciplines create a gravitational pull. People feel something different around you. Your calmness becomes authority. Your silence becomes strength. Your composure becomes dominance. Again, it's not about ego. It's about discipline. You don't need their permission to become someone whose presence demands respect. You simply need to master your internal world so fully that no external chaos can shake you. Respect comes from the way you lead yourself. There is one universal truth. People follow those who lead themselves well. Not those who are perfect, not those who are loud, not those who pretend, but those who practice self-leadership relentlessly. Self-leadership means you show up on time for yourself. You follow through on your promises to yourself. You stay disciplined even when emotions try to pull you off track. You correct your weaknesses without making excuses. You keep learning even when nobody tells you to. You choose growth even when comfort is easy. Again, you have a choice. Every moment, you are either strengthening your identity or weakening it. And here's the truth you must understand. People don't respect what you say. They respect what you embody. They respect the proof, the consistency, the long-term discipline. Because your lifestyle becomes your authority. Respect comes from how you handle setbacks. Strong people don't collapse when life hits them. They don't whine, they don't complain, they don't blame. They analyze, they adjust, they learn, they move again. Because setbacks are not obstacles. Setbacks are the jet fuel for unstoppable momentum. When you use failure as fuel, people notice. When you rise without dramatic announcements, people pay attention. When you transform pain into growth, people feel the shift. When you remain composed in chaos, you show the world your strength. It's not about the setback. It's about the discipline. It's about who you choose to become after it. Again, you have a choice. Respect is the byproduct of mastery. Master your emotions, master your habits, master your boundaries, master your words, master your reactions, master your focus, master your energy. Do this and the world will feel it without you saying a word. Because real respect is silent. It's earned, not demanded. It's reflected back to you based on how you live, not what you speak. Master yourself, and the world bows naturally. That's not poetry. That's psychology. That's life. That's the system. Final transition. You've built the discipline. You've built the identity. You've built the internal strength. But there is one more frontier, one final discipline that elevates everything you've learned. You mastered how to command respect. Now it's time to master the legacy you leave behind.
You've just spent hours training the most powerful force you possess, your mind. And now you know the truth. Your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions shape your reactions. Your reactions shape your habits. And your habits shape your entire world. Everything you want begins inside. Everything you fear also begins inside. And from this moment on, you no longer live unconsciously. You no longer react blindly. You no longer surrender your power to impulses, people, or circumstances. You control your mind, your focus, your discipline, your narrative, your emotional state. And when you control your mind, you control your world. Now it's your turn to prove it. Stand up, act with intent, think with precision, and move into your life with absolute mental authority. Your next decision is the test. Choose power, choose clarity,
Choose mastery. Your mind is yours. Use it.